Overthinking has a way of sneaking into your life so quietly that you don't even realize how much space it has taken from you. One moment you're sitting still, trying to enjoy your day, and the next, your mind has wandered into a maze with no exit signs. You replay old conversations. You imagine future problems that haven't arrived. You dissect tiny details until they become heavy and sharp. And somewhere in that mental storm, you forget what peace even feels like. It doesn't always show up as loud panic. Sometimes it's subtle, a tightness in the chest, a restless feeling that follows you from room to room, an endless loop of what if and why did I? You might look calm on the outside, but inside your thoughts are running without rest, burning energy, clouding clarity, and pulling you away from the present moment. People around you may never see it, but you feel it deeply. You feel the weight of thoughts that won't stay quiet. Overthinking convinces you that thinking more will somehow protect you from mistakes, from pain, from uncertainty. But the truth is, the more you wrestle with your thoughts, the more tangled they become. Worry multiplies. Doubt grows. Even the smallest concern can expand until it fills your whole inner world. You start losing sleep, losing focus, losing joy in the very moments you're supposed to be living. And maybe right now, you're tired. Tired of being trapped in your own head, tired of trying to control everything, tired of feeling like you can't switch off the noise. If that's you, take a breath. You're not the only one carrying this invisible burden. So many people walk through life with their minds spinning faster than their hearts can keep up. But there is a way to soften the noise, to loosen the knots inside, to find your way back to a calmer inner landscape. For thousands of years, Buddhist wisdom has offered a different path. Not through force, not through fighting your thoughts, but through understanding the nature of the mind itself. Instead of battling the storm, you learn to step out of it. Instead of drowning in thoughts, you learn to watch them come and go like waves. In this journey, we're going to explore teachings that don't just quiet the mind. They transform your relationship with it. Teachings that help you come home to yourself again, to the place where peace has always been waiting. Let's begin. 1. Stay with the present moment. When the mind is unsettled, it loves to wander. It drifts backward into memories you can't change, replaying moments that no longer exist, or it leaps forward into a future you can't predict, constructing imagined outcomes, imagined dangers, imagined versions of events that may never unfold. This is the trap of overthinking, a mind pulled in two directions at once, never allowed to rest in the only moment that truly belongs to you, right now. We often believe that thinking about the past will give us answers, or that worrying about the future will somehow make us safer. But the more the mind travels away from the present, the less grounded we become. Your body is here, but your awareness is scattered. Your heart is here, but your energy is spent somewhere else. No wonder peace feels so distant. No wonder everything feels heavier than it should. Buddhist teaching gently reminds us of a simple truth. Do not chase what has already passed. Do not build stories about what has not yet arrived. This isn't just philosophy. It's a way of reclaiming your life. The present moment is the only place you can breathe, decide, act, or feel anything real. Past and future may pull at you, but they can't hold you unless you hold on to them first. When you bring your attention back to the present, even for a few seconds, something softens. The mind stops running. The heart stops gripping. Clarity returns in the small space that opens when you stop time traveling in your head. There's a simple teaching told through an image. A young student once stood under a tree, staring at its branches shaking in the wind. Fear crept into his mind. What if a branch snaps? What if it falls? His teacher noticed the tension on the student's face and said quietly, "Stand with your breath. The tree breaks only in your imagination, not in this moment." That is the nature of the mind. It creates storms that don't exist. It builds disasters out of thin air. It makes the present moment seem unsafe, even when nothing is happening. To return home to yourself, try this. Whenever you feel your thoughts racing ahead or spiraling backward, pause for 3 slow breaths. Just 3. Look at something around you. A light, a color, a shape, and let your awareness rest on it. This small act pulls you out of your mind stories and back into your life. The present moment is always whispering to you, but only a quiet mind can hear it. 2. Stop resisting what you. There's a particular kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from physical work. It comes from constantly trying to fix, manage, or control everything around you. You try to hold life together with both hands, tightening your grip every time something feels uncertain. You replay events, analyze every detail, and imagine how you could have done things differently. You plan for outcomes that haven't arrived, preparing for problems that may never appear. All of this drains you, not because you're weak, but because you're fighting battles that were never meant to be yours. Fear makes us believe that controlling everything will protect us. If we can manage every possibility, maybe we won't get hurt. Maybe nothing will fall apart. But the truth is, the more you cling, the more fragile everything feels. The tighter you squeeze, the more life pushes back. And overthinking thrives in this tension. It feeds on the illusion that if you think just a little more, you'll finally gain control. Buddhist wisdom teaches something radically different. Suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from our attachment to how we want things to be. We suffer not because life is unpredictable, but because we demand that it isn't. We want certainty in a world that moves, changes, shifts every moment. And when reality refuses to fit our expectations, the mind spirals. It imagines worst-case scenarios. It magnifies small problems. It builds entire stories out of fear. But freedom begins the moment you stop resisting what is not yours to hold. There's a simple image to illustrate this truth. A traveler walked through a dense path and snagged their sleeve on a thorny bush. Panicking, they yanked and pulled, only making the fabric tear more. A teacher nearby watched gently and said, "Don't fight it. Let your hand relax. Loosen yourself first, then untangle." And with one soft movement, the cloth came free. That is the nature of letting go. Force creates more resistance. Fear creates more knots. But when you soften your grip, the situation often loosens on its own. Next time your mind spirals, ask yourself one quiet question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, release it. Set it down, even if just for a moment. You don't have to carry what isn't yours. You don't have to wrestle with what won't move. Letting go isn't the same as losing. Letting go is returning to what's real. 3. Embrace simplicity. In a world that moves quickly and demands endlessly, it's easy to feel like you're constantly being stretched in every direction. Your mind jumps from task to task, from worry to worry, from expectation to expectation. There's always something to chase, something to fix, something to prepare for. And without realizing it, your inner world becomes crowded, full of noise, full of pressure, full of thoughts that pile up faster than you can sort through them. It's no wonder your mind feels heavy. It's no wonder you feel far from peace. We often mistake more for progress. More achievements, more responsibilities, more information, more goals. But more doesn't always lead to better. In fact, it often leads to mental clutter, a kind of inner chaos that makes it hard to breathe. When your life becomes too full, your mind becomes too loud. When your mind becomes too loud, you lose sight of what actually matters. Buddhist wisdom teaches a truth that feels almost revolutionary today. Happiness doesn't come from piling things on. It comes from letting things go. When you simplify, you make space. Space for clarity. Space for rest. Space for meaning. Simplicity isn't about having less. It's about carrying less. It's about removing what drains you so that what nourishes you can rise to the surface. Think of a garden. A plant with too many tangled branches struggles to bloom. But when the gardener gently cuts away the excess, the flower grows stronger, brighter, freer. The same happens inside you. Every unnecessary worry you release, every expectation you loosen, every mental burden you set down, all of it becomes a kind of pruning. And what blooms afterward is peace. Start with something small. Look at your inner landscape and ask, what am I holding that no longer serves me? Maybe it's a fear. Maybe it's self-comparison. Maybe it's the pressure to meet standards that were never meant for you. Choose 1 or 2 things a day to release. Turn off an extra source of noise. Step away from an unhealthy comparison. Say no to an expectation that was never yours to carry. Each small act clears a little more room for calm. Life doesn't become meaningful because it's complicated. It becomes meaningful because you're present enough to feel it. When you simplify your world, you give your heart and mind a chance to breathe again. To simplify your life is to open the door to peace. 4. You are not your thoughts. There are days when your mind feels like a sky covered in storm clouds, dark, restless, constantly shifting. Thoughts rush in without warning, stacking on top of each other until you can barely breathe. One moment you're replaying something from years ago, and the next you're imagining a future disaster that may never come. By the time night arrives, your body is exhausted, but your mind is wide awake, spinning faster than ever. This is the quiet suffering overthinking creates. The sense that you're trapped inside a storm you can't step out of. But Buddhism offers a perspective that changes everything. Your thoughts are not you. They arise and fade like sparks, like echoes, like ripples on a pond. They appear, they move through, and they disappear. The mind naturally produces thoughts, just as the sky naturally produces clouds. But the sky is never defined by the weather passing through it. In the same way, you are not defined by the thoughts that pass through your awareness. The true nature of the mind isn't the thoughts themselves. It is the awareness behind them. Awareness is spacious, steady, unchanging. Thoughts are temporary, shape-shifting, sometimes dramatic, sometimes painful, sometimes hopeful. But ultimately, they're visitors. They come to your door, but you don't have to invite them inside. You don't have to let them rearrange the furniture of your mind. Imagine sitting on the shore, watching the ocean. Every wave is different. Some gentle, some crashing, some barely visible. Yet no matter how the waves move, the ocean itself remains the ocean. Deep, vast, steady beneath the surface. Your thoughts are the waves. Your mind, your awareness, is the ocean. You suffer when you mistake the waves for the water itself. When you believe every thought is true. When you allow every passing idea to change your mood, your self-worth, your peace. The moment you step back and observe your thoughts instead of becoming tangled in them, something softens. You realize you don't have to fight them. You don't have to control them. You don't have to solve them. Try this the next time your mind is spinning. Simply watch your thoughts as if they're someone else's voice. Let them rise. Let them pass. Don't cling. Don't push. Just witness. When you stop identifying with every thought, the storm begins to break apart. The clouds thin. The sky opens. You are the sky, not the clouds. 5. Mindfulness and the breath. When the mind begins to race, everything feels louder and sharper than it should. A single worry turns into 10. A small inconvenience becomes a crisis. Your attention scatters, your emotions react faster than you want them to. And you're left with that familiar sense of, I can't slow down. I can't turn this off. It's not that something outside of you is out of control. It's that your inner world has lost its anchor. And without an anchor, the mind drifts, spins, and spirals. This is why Buddhist teaching places such deep importance on the breath. Your breath is the quiet place you can return to, no matter what is happening. It's always with you. It's always accessible. And it carries a natural rhythm that can steady even the most restless mind. When the breath is shallow, the mind becomes scattered. When the breath slows, the mind softens. In this way, the breath is not just a biological function, it's a refuge. Mindfulness, at its heart, isn't about silencing your thoughts or forcing your mind to behave. It's simply seeing clearly, without interference, like opening a window to let fresh air in. When you focus on your breath, your attention gently returns to your body. Your awareness settles into the present moment, and the storms in your mind lose some of their intensity, simply because you're no longer feeding them. Think of a tight thread stretched between 2 points. When pulled too hard, it strains. It vibrates. It threatens to snap. But just one slow, deliberate breath can loosen that tension. That's what the breath does to your mind. It releases the tightness you didn't even realize you were holding. It reminds your nervous system that it's safe to slow down, safe to soften. Try this simple pattern whenever your thoughts begin to escalate. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold gently for 2. Exhale for 6. The longer exhale signals your body to relax. It tells your mind, we are not in danger. We can let this go. Do it once, then twice, then a few more times if needed. You'll notice your thoughts start to quiet, not because you forced them to, but because your body led the mind back home. Use this whenever you feel overwhelmed. Before reacting to something upsetting, before answering a difficult message, before going to sleep, or even in the middle of a stressful conversation. When the breath returns, the mind returns. And in that return, peace becomes possible. 6. Trust impermanence. There are moments in life when fear whispers, what if this never ends? A difficult season, a heavy emotion, a worry that sits on your chest. It can feel permanent, as if you'll be stuck in that state forever. Overthinking grows strongest in these moments. It tells you the discomfort is here to stay, that the uncertainty won't pass, that you must prepare for the worst. And because the mind believes this, it clings even harder, tightening its grip around the very thing that's hurting you. But one of the most essential teachings in Buddhism is also one of the most comforting. Everything changes. Nothing stays exactly as it is. Not joy, not sorrow, not fear, not confusion. Every experience, every emotion, every circumstance rises, peaks, softens, and fades. This impermanence isn't something to dread. It's the very truth that gives us freedom. The mind suffers when it tries to freeze life in place, insisting that things remain stable in a world that is always moving. But when we recognize that all conditions shift, we loosen our fear. We soften our resistance. We stop expecting the present moment to become a life sentence. Overthinking often appears because we're secretly trying to stop things from changing, trying to hold on to comfort, or trying to avoid pain, or trying to force a certain outcome. But the more we fight the natural flow of life, the more overwhelmed we feel. Peace returns the moment we accept that both ease and struggle are temporary visitors. Picture this simple truth through a natural image. The sun never tries to hold on to the night, and the night never tries to keep the sun from rising. They move in rhythm, each one giving way when its time is done. Your life unfolds in the same way. Emotions, thoughts, and experiences all have their own cycles. They come, they shift, they go. None of them define you forever. When worry rises in your mind, try telling yourself gently, "This will not last." Feel your breath as you inhale and exhale, each cycle different from the one before it. That's impermanence happening inside your own body. A reminder that nothing, not even your anxiety, stays frozen. Let life move the way it's meant to move. Let your inner weather change without judgment. Allow yourself to trust that no feeling, no situation, no storm remains unchanged. Nothing lasts forever. And that is exactly why your heart can rest. As you reach the end of this journey, take a moment to notice how your mind feels. Maybe a little lighter, maybe a little clearer, maybe just a bit more connected to yourself. Each teaching you've just explored isn't meant to be understood only once. They're meant to be practiced gently, day by day. Be present. Loosen your grip. Simplify what you can. Watch your thoughts with softness. Return to your breath. Trust that everything moves in cycles. These small, mindful steps can reshape your entire inner world. No matter what you're going through, peace is never as far away as it seems. It lives in your next breath, your next quiet moment, your next choice to release instead of resist. You don't need to fix your whole life in one day. You just need to return to yourself, one mindful moment at a time. If this message brought you comfort or clarity, I'd love for you to stay connected. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might need a little peace today. Your presence here means more than you know. Let's continue walking this path of awareness and inner calm together. Stay steady, stay kind to yourself, and may you meet every moment with a peaceful heart.